Good afternoon. This is Terry Gardner, Mayor, City of Minden. I'd like to give all of our citizens an update on the COVID-19 and what position the city is taking from many aspects. The recreation complex, Ewell Park, and all public restrooms are closed to the public until April the 18th, when we will reevaluate the situation. All of our recreation programs are canceled until further notice. The City Artworks is closed until further notice. The Spring Carnival that was scheduled at the Minden Fairgrounds in April, this event is canceled as well. In an event that you have at the Civic Center, the Community House, or the Forestry Building, if you choose to cancel this event, we will refund your deposit at this time during this crisis. All monies paid will be given back to you. We will follow the Public Service Commissioner's statement, and the City of Minden will not cut off any utilities during this time. All late fees will be waived during this time of crisis as well until further notice. I encourage all the citizens to limit their travel and try to stay in Webster Parish. We're trying to contain this virus and keep everybody local. Travel as little as possible. Do not let your teenagers go to the movies over in Bossier City and come back, because we don't know as to what extent the viruses are in different areas. In shopping, please wear plastic gloves. Use hand sanitizers when you get in your car. Make sure you use hand sanitizers. When you get home, use hand sanitizers. The City Council session this afternoon will be held as advertised at 4 p.m. We encourage our citizens to stay at home and view this meeting online. You can see the City of Minden Feels Like Home Facebook page and look up on the link there. During this crisis, everyone is encouraged to avoid crowds. If you're in a crowd, try to stay 10 feet from that person. Do not shake hands. Keep your hands away from your face. Wash your hands frequently and use hand sanitizers. We are a healthy community. We are a community that we work together and we play together. So during this time, take all precautionary measures to stay home and limit your travels. If you're 60 years or older and have health issues, we encourage you to self-quarantine yourself and stay home as well. If you have any further questions, you can call us at 377-2144. At the Civic Center, our Civic Center will be open. We ask you to use the drop window. Limit your time coming inside. If you need to make an appointment, you can call 371-2144. Our permitting department will be open. If you have permits to buy, if you're under construction or something like that, our permitting department will be available on the ground floor. If you have an emergency, please call 377-2144, and we will try to answer all questions as possible. Once again, this is a message from the Mayor's office, and I want you to stay safe and stay well. Thank you very much.
Also, grocery stores and such as that, if you read it that way, anybody that's getting a Class B license.
Class B high alcohol content retail dealer off-premise consumption right here. Yeah. It says high.
But that's 5. It's 4.
Class B,
4.
low alcohol content, yes. There was a Class B low alcohol, there is. You can get either. You can get Class B low or a Class B high and low. And they were split up on this. I fixed that here, where it's just a Class B, but under the fees it shows high and low. So we made the clarification that you cannot get high alcohol if you sell more. That was what was not in there. It's exactly the same thing, except for that. Plus, we've added in the descriptions that tell what you can do with that type of permit. And those descriptions I took right out of the state law. Just made them clarify so that we don't want to leave any guesswork.
And Mr. Minifield worded it, and that's why he's saying it was okay to approve it.
Yeah. Class B low alcohol
We were just
content
having Dixie
retail.
Mart. Dixie Mart was wanting to have full liquor stores and sell beer.
They can't do that because when you go back here and you look at the description for
I know.
We
convenience
said was
stores.
somewhere, I know I have to keep pulling my hand back.
That's all it is a definition. I think what we're being challenged on is that there's not anything specific in our ordinance that says that you can't have high
I know our definition's clear, but
The definition,
Our definitions actually not clear either when you look over here at restaurants, because when you look at restaurants, it doesn't say that places that sell motor fuel are exempt as being a restaurant. Everything right here,
they're not. It can still be a restaurant, but if you sell motor fuel, you can't get a high alcohol license. We don't exempt.
do you understand what we're talking about, Mr.
I
Brad?
know, but I'm still saying, when you look at these definitions
Keith,
for
will
restaurant.
you explain-
I
mean, I've come to a conclusion.
And all that kind of
Okay.
stuff, it doesn't show
All I
that a
could see
place
was
that
that we
sells
didn't,
motor
we had it
fuel
everywhere else,
is
but we
exempt
didn't specify it
being
in
a
those
restaurant.
fees. It didn't get specified, is all I
And
could
it's not in here.
Because you remember we discussed it? I know. Low alcohol at the gas
They
station.
cannot sell alcohol for on-premise consumption if they,
If y'all would just bear with us, we'll start the meeting in just a second.
Sell that craft beer, wasn't it? Yeah, he wanted to sell hard drinking. I know we had that discussion.
Be spelled out in your Class B ordinance.
that, I don't know, where is it spelled out there?
I don't know that there's a place where it says restaurants can't sell. You know about this lock here? It says if you sell gas, you start
Since we've still got,
If you have a restaurant that sells gas, you can't get a Class B high alcohol.
So, okay, well, we need to go back and fix some things, not only this, but some other things. Because right now, they can have the consumption of alcohol where they sell gas. Because it's not spelled out in here that they cannot.
They
And
can't.
by our ordinance, a restaurant is not a restaurant if they sell motor fuel.
No, that's
And it's-
nowhere in our ordinance.
It is in our ordinance. Yes, it is. We talked about that from the beginning. That was an issue when we first got on the council. That was an issue. If they sell motor fuel, they cannot.
But not, it doesn't tie into restaurants.
Yes, it does. This- No, because when we had the issue about them wanting to sell alcohol at the Valero, that was the reason that they could not, because
Yes.
it's not considered a restaurant because they sell motor fuel. So it is spelled out.
But that's not in the ordinance. in that
It was
fashion.
in there, unless it's changed, but it was in
Okay,
there.
the old ordinance you're talking about, like when Jesse wanted to sell,
Yeah.
okay. Now, that ordinance is dead.
Our original ordinance said no alcohol sales, period, if you sell.
So you're telling me now that they can consume alcohol there,
No.
on the
No,
premises?
No. Not in package stores. In package stores, it's,
I'm talking about because the other side, he was saying that he was a restaurant,
no,
because you can
no.
sit there and eat.
No, he can't sell, his restaurant can't sell high alcohol content.
I'm not
till
talking
he puts
about
a-
how, I'm talking about consumption.
No,
I'm
no,
talking about
no.
consumption on
They-
the
no,
premises.
They cannot drink it there, no.
hey, Ms. Walker,
Hey,
how are
hey,
you?
I'm good.
Just gonna let you know that since, you know,
think
we
we
still
might
got
need to table this.
open on the other end, I'm
There's
gonna
some
lock
other
the door
stuff.
when the council meeting starts. So if you happen to go out it for whatever reason, if something was to happen, remember you just got to unlock that top lock there.
Discrepancy in there.
See, this just locks it,
Okay,
just for safety reasons, since everything's still open next door.
okay, okay.
Just letting you know in case you had to run out of here, I want you to know
Yeah,
how
I
to
need
get
to
it.
know, I don't want to.
That's not gonna happen, but I would want you to know.
Hey, I just took a shower. I should
Man, this river sound on.
4 feet, 4 feet.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order for Monday, March the 16th at 4 o'clock. We're starting a little late. We've got our prayer by Pam Bloxham, and we've got our pledge by Vincent Bradford. And I'd like for everybody to silence their phone.
Dear Jesus, during your ministry on earth, you showed your power and caring by healing people of all ages and stations of life from physical, mental, and spiritual ailments. Be present now to the people who need your loving touch because of this serious virus. May they feel your power of healing through the care of doctors and nurses. Take away the fear, anxiety, and feelings of isolation from people receiving treatment or under quarantine. Give them a sense of purpose in pursuing health and protecting others from exposure to this disease. Protect their families and friends and bring peace to all of us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing on our agenda for this afternoon is A, personnel. Chief, would you like to present, please, sir?
Mr. Mayor, council members, I think some of y'all have met Jason, but this is Jason Lee. He's a prospective new hire for the Minden Police Department. He's had 3 years' experience in corrections. He was raised here in Minden, went to school in Minden, lives in Minden, and I believe he's going to make a really good asset to the Minden Police Department.
Do I have a motion?
Upon the recommendation of Police Chief Steve Crop, I move to confirm Jason Scott Lee II as a police officer in the Minden Police Department, in the Minden Police Department.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bradford, seconded by Mr. Beard. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously.
Thank y'all.
And welcome, Jason.
Next on our agenda is ordinance number 1109 to amend and reenact Chapter 6 Alcohol Beverages of the Code of Ordinances. It's in your attached sheet there. What it's changed to, if you look down here at 4, it has Class B retail dealer. It's going to now read alcohol is sold in factory sealed containers for transportation and consumption off premises only. Primary business may be other than the sale of alcohol beverages, like convenience stores. High alcohol content sales are not allowed at this location which motor fuel is sold. And that's the changes in it. Do I have a motion?
I move that this change be made.
Motion made by Mr. Beard, seconded by Ms. Bloxham.
Do I need to state that like it is so that it goes in the record?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir,
So
probably.
I do. I want to make the motion to adopt ordinance number 1109, an ordinance to amend and reenact Chapter 6 Alcoholic Beverages of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Minden, State of Louisiana as presented. So
Okay.
make sure it's on the record that way.
Keith stated that, and we had the motion made by Mr. Bradford and
And I'll
seconded,
second Keith's revision.
and seconded by Ms. Bloxham. Do we have any discussion on this?
Yeah, now, when we originally did this, when we put everything together, it stated that it was low alcohol content sales.
Yes, ma'am. It stated that in the definition, but it didn't carry through to the permit itself. So that's what we're doing now, is carrying it through where it makes it just crystal clear that your convenience stores cannot sell high and low alcohol content and dispense motor fuel. They can only sell low alcohol contents to dispense motor fuel.
Let me just go.
So the original, because on our original right here, on 4, it didn't separate it, right? Is that what you're
Correct.
saying, Mayor? It just
Correct,
had,
yes, sir.
it just had one permit price,
Yes, sir.
and it didn't specify that that was for low content. And so now what we have on the revision is for a Class B retail dealer to be able to purchase a low alcohol content only, which would be businesses that sell gasoline.
Correct.
Or one that does not sell gasoline would be able to purchase the other one.
Correct.
The low and high.
Correct.
Because is that saying that maybe a convenience store that does not sell gasoline would be able to purchase the other license? Is that what we're saying?
Correct. A
Okay.
convenience store that does not
That does have
dispense
gas.
motor fuel, and there's one or two of those in town.
Oh, okay.
They can buy a permit to sell high and low.
Okay.
But if they dispense motor fuel,
Right,
they
right.
can only sell low alcohol content.
So what this is doing is just specifying and splitting it so that those two different businesses can get the appropriate license?
Yes, sir, correct,
Okay.
correct.
And that's all fine and good, I understand that, but we said, when we had the workshop, that convenience stores that sold motor fuel would not be able to sell high alcohol content. I remember it clearly because I was the one that had something to say about it. So I know it was stated that places that's convenience stores that sold motor fuel would not be able to sell high alcohol content.
Possibly that was said, but it was just a,
No, it's not possibly. It was said. It was said, and we talked about it because it was someone that specific that was asking about it, and I said, why? Why do you want to make provisions for this one person, and then someone else will come back, and then we're making provisions again? So it's not possibly. It was said that
Okay.
we would sell. They could only sell low alcohol content. I just need it on there for the record. Wanda, do you remember that?
I remember us discussing it, and it was in the definitions, and it was also in the closing hours. It does specify in the closing hours low.
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't get put in the permit.
Okay, so I just want to make sure it was said.
Give
It
you,
was said, yes.
I can give you a
it was said at various times, but it just didn't get here. And so that's what we're doing, we're correcting it, getting it in the right location.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the ordinance was copied from the state law, and the state law does not prohibit high alcohol at gas stations. So that's why it didn't say it in the body of the ordinance.
Okay.
There were some alluded to it in the descriptions and definitions and such, but it didn't have a hard, fast limiting factor in the ordinance because there is not one in the state law. So we're kind of tweaking the permit description here to make it a hard, fast description that's saying that you cannot sell high alcohol content if you sell motor fuel.
Okay,
The intention was always there, just the wording wasn't there. We were being challenged on it, so we needed to clear that up quickly.
Okay, now,
Okay.
go ahead. On these permits, is it gonna specify that low alcohol content is 6% or less? Because Waller was the one that you
Yes,
talked
sir.
about. He wanted to sell 89% beer.
He wanted to sell craft beer, which was higher
Right.
than 6. Now,
So it was said what Mr.
yes,
Walker said.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it- it
alcohol
was.
Is this gonna be specified on the permit?
It says so in the definition.
It
That's-
says in the
that's by-
definition.
Said by the state.
Yes, sir.
And it's in the
Definitions.
description of the permit itself. So they get a Class B low alcohol, 6% is the limit.
So this was brought to our attention from, who was it, Circle K?
Dixie Mart.
Dixie Mart?
Yes, sir.
Actually, it was the Circle K
See?
attorneys that contacted my office.
okay.
So
So,
we don't have any written information, they just contacted you and you explained it to them?
Correct. And I will contact them tomorrow to be sure they understand what's been fixed today.
So when it boils down to it, we just ultimately want to make sure that places that sell gasoline cannot sell anything but low. And that's correct. And that's what it's going to do?
Correct.
I just want to make sure of that, because that's what our discussion was, wasn't it,
yeah.
Tarika?
So my question then is this: if they applied for a permit before we did this, so can't they challenge that? Because it wasn't in place. It wasn't in place when they applied for the permit. So now that we're doing it after the fact,
Their license their permit has not been issued. Mr. Fleur and I are both of the opinion that till it's been issued, there's no grandfather.
If I'm correct, they haven't been turned in yet either, have they?
Yeah, they've turned in an application.
Have they? Have they? Okay.
They haven't
I wasn't for
issued a
sure.
permit, and they haven't received a state permit either.
Okay,
okay.
And then we can't issue a local until the state issues the state.
correct.
Okay,
I talked this morning to Dixie Mart, and I talked to Mr. Waller. None of the applicants so far have received any confirmation from the state.
They may never.
And without the state permit, I will not issue a city permit.
There's the.
Okay, something else for clarity. When I look here under the definition for restaurants, the gas stations, convenience stores that sell food, I don't see in the definition where it's excluding them from having alcohol, consumption of alcohol on the premises if it's a restaurant. Because everything that's in here under the definition of a restaurant, then that means they're eligible.
All restaurants are eligible for a type AR license, permit, unless they're within proximity of prohibited property or something like that.
So even if it's a gas station, they can consume alcohol on the
No
property?
restrictions for restaurants selling gas, no.
No description for restaurants selling gas?
No restrictions.
There's
No
nothing-
restrictions?
Nothing in the laws that says Habacu's can't have a gas pump outside, or whomever.
But it was before.
No, ma'am.
It was.
No, ma'am. The convenience stores could not, no store that sold gasoline in our original ordinance, no store that sold gasoline could sell alcohol,
Right.
period.
Originally, yeah.
In the
It
original
didn't-
ordinance.
It didn't discern between gas station, grocery store, convenience store. It said no store that sold gasoline could sell alcohol. That's what was in the original ordinance.
Now, remember last year, we had a lot of discussion, like,
Yeah,
remember,
I
because
know.
these, at that time, when, Mr. Bradford, I'm sure y'all were part of, well, maybe, I may have been before you got on, there weren't these kind of stores that had, these convenience stores that had little restaurants in them, right? Probably when that was written. So that's why I think, we had that discussion, I remember, because
Yeah.
they wanted to sell it, right?
Because they considered themselves a restaurant.
A restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So will they be able to have consumption of alcohol on their premises now?
Not with a Class B license, no. Class B does not allow consumption on property.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, off premises.
Do we have any more discussion? No more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Did you vote, Mr.?
I'm for tabling it.
Did you vote, Ms. Walker?
And no consumption of alcohol by.
I'm for tabling it until we get a better understanding. Because a restaurant, a convenience store is considered someone who sells what? Tobacco products, drinks, soda. You got some restaurants that can do that. See, what I'm saying is, when we pass this, you're gonna have people that come in to the community and build establishments. So we need to know exactly how we're gonna govern them
Like what kind
before
of?
they build it.
Like if they build a convenience store, they can only sell low. If they
Okay.
build a restaurant, they can sell high and
I
low.
understand that.
So, I mean, I don't understand the construction part of it.
Well, I'd like to table it, so you guys go ahead.
Do they need a permit to sell gasoline?
No,
No.
No, they don't, no.
So any
not from
restaurant-
us, not from us.
Any restaurant could then put in gas pumps.
If it was
We don't have any
feasible.
ordinance against restaurants having gas.
I don't want to table it because people are trying to make plans right
And-
now to
and they're
get
trying
their
to get open.
business going.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, we don't want to have to keep coming back to the table because we need to amend something that we didn't catch before, just like we're coming back now. So just like you said, a restaurant, if they put in gas pumps, so then does their permit change to a Class B, meaning they can't sell high volume, they can't consume alcohol on the premises?
Like if what's gonna change?
Okay, just like, for example, I mean, what he just said, a restaurant, so there's no ordinance saying that they can't put in gas pumps.
Well,
Okay, so here's the deal, here's the scenario, so if they put in gas pumps, then does their permit change where they cannot consume alcohol on the premises? Does it become a Class B with low alcohol content where they can't consume alcohol on the premises?
I would think so.
Well, see, it's not about what we think. We have to have this in black and white, so we don't have to keep coming back to the table.
We're gonna have to ask the attorneys. I don't know how far the grandfather clause reaches. If they come in and add later, do you make them at that point change their license? I know that the grandfather clause is in fact, if the church builds next door to them, you can't take their alcohol license away from them. So I would say this is probably akin to it. Now, if y'all wanted to, for some reason, restrict restaurant establishments from having alcohol sales if they sell gasoline, you could go up there into the Class A and say that you can't have a Class A license if you have gas pumps.
Well, if a restaurant wants to start selling gasoline, they're gonna have to come in here and apply for a permit to sell gasoline, and that can all be explained?
No, there's not
They
a
don't have to
permit.
have a permit to sell gasoline.
So what you're telling me, they don't have to have a permit to dig a hole?
Well, they have to have building
Well,
permits
sure.
and that kind of stuff.
Sure, I mean, so they could be explained the scenario then?
Certainly.
Okay.
I mean, it's highly unlikely that a restaurant would go and put in gas pumps, but when we have these stores that sell food, the question is, will they, I mean, I just want clarity to make sure that no alcohol can be consumed on the premises, low or high alcohol content. So I just want clarity and understanding, make sure that these stores that have full kitchens and they meet all the other criteria for being a restaurant cannot consume alcohol on the premises.
Well, we've got,
And as far as, there's nobody in Mendon now ready to open up this week.
well, actually,
Because they
there
don't have
is.
the permit.
We
So-
do,
Well,
we
I
do
mean-
have applications
Yeah, but-
in place.
We're just waiting on the
You just said that they
state.
hadn't got the state, so that, I mean,
That could be tomorrow.
we could table this and have another workshop on it.
Well, right now, though, we have a vote on the
You
floor,
vote, you vote.
and
If tomorrow I'm gonna get a call from the state, which is saying this and this and this place has been approved by the state, I'm gonna issue the license.
I highly recommend that we pass this, and if we want to tweak restaurant requirements, we do that at the next meeting.
because we need to get this passed so we can issue these licenses.
This is doing good, it's just maybe not covering everything you want to cover.
But that's the problem when you, that's the problem, when it's not covering everything, then we open ourselves up to, or the city, to a lawsuit, or, you know, someone challenging you, just like they did with this last issue.
But if we get this part fixed tonight, we won't have to worry about this part. If there's something else we need to fix, we'll do it tomorrow.
That's why we should have a workshop and go back over.
But we need
There may be
to,
some other things that we need to.
but we need to pass this tonight to
Tonight.
protect us tomorrow
That's, okay, so,
on this issue.
okay, because if we don't, you cannot issue these tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely we can.
But it won't, well, you might, yeah, I see what you're saying, it won't be
If the
specified.
convenience store comes in and asks for high alcohol content tomorrow.
We have to give it to
they
them.
get their- We have to give it.
That's what I thought.
So that's why we need to pass it tonight.
That's a
And
good
if we want
point.
to add something to the restaurants, we can either do it tonight or do it at a
Somebody-
workshop.
So I just
Convenience
need
store
this
come
to
in
be
tomorrow.
on record that we're going to revisit this, because you know how things go. We say one thing is said, and it never happens.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
if it's passed tonight, then we need
Go
to,
back
and we
and put-
will revisit it for the next council meeting. Other than that, I'm not going with it, because I know how things go. Just from the past, things are said, and it doesn't come back up.
And I mean, I
So,
understand, and Trick, I understand where you're coming from because, and it does need to, get this done and come back and add what Mr. Cooley is saying because I have a problem too if somebody comes in and opens up something that resembles a restaurant that meets these requirements of the seating and everything else, and they do it on the back, they come in on the back door so that they can sell alcohol there. I don't want that happening either. I understand, so if we can pass this today and come back and add that, I think that'd be a good idea.
As it is right now, these neighborhood convenience stores that sell gasoline, like close to your house,
Yeah.
they can be a liquor store as well.
Mayor, we can fix this pretty quickly with a second motion. It's
Well-
an alternate motion, adding under the AR license, the same clause that if you cannot get an AR license if you sell motor fuel. All you have to do is add it to that, and then,
I don't think it's anything that we need to sit here and try to word really quickly and just come back with a second motion. It needs to be discussed in a workshop, and we bring it back to the next council meeting, not try to do a quick fix right now and mess up something or make it worse.
I'm on board with you if you'd rather, I was just trying to offer an option.
So, with that said, we have 2 votes for. And what is your vote,
So I
Ms.
just want to
Walker?
make sure, I need to make sure that this is going to be discussed at the next workshop
We will
for
bring
the
it,
next council meeting.
I agree, it needs to be, and I think,
we can
And
put,
then-
I think
and I
I think
vote.
with it, you
We can put
specified
that
it
on-
all.
Yeah.
So I think it will be.
we can put it on the next workshop.
Yeah.
To visit the rest of it, if we can pass this tonight, so we can resolve
table
a
it.
potential problem.
Let's table it.
I don't think we need to table it, I think
What
we need to
about-
vote.
What if we table it, Mr. Beverly, what if, like, a convenience store like those come in tomorrow and get the high content license? If we don't have that in place? That's kind of what he said, right, Mr. Cooley? That if we don't add this low thing, the 60, then tomorrow, when this all goes into effect on the 17th, the owner of a convenience store that sells food and gasoline can come in and get a high content. Is that correct, Mr. Cooley?
Yes.
Oh, okay, well, I don't want that to happen.
I'm only 1/5 of this.
Yes, sir, I
council.
understand. But I mean, I don't want,
I'm just
Yes, sir.
expressing what I think should be done.
And even so, when I look at this and we look at the closing hours, that means that between the hours of 11:01, 6:59 Monday through Saturday, 10:01 PM, 11:59 AM on Sunday, the closing hours, then it's wrong because it says they can't sell low alcohol content, but they could sell high alcohol content. Basically, the way this is worded, that's the loophole.
That probably needs to be fixed.
Yeah?
That all came right out of the state law. That was copied right out of the state law, and there's a lot of things in there that I think need to be fixed, but this one was pressing.
I mean, I'm understanding what he's saying, and what Mr. Bradford's saying, and what Ms. Walker's saying. I do understand that. My concern is I don't want, tomorrow it's when it goes in effect.
Correct.
I don't want, and you know how I feel, I've said this before, my alcohol, but I've worked with this and I've tried to cooperate with this because this is what the majority of Mendon wants, alcohol. So I've worked with it. But I do not think that these businesses that we have that are half restaurants, half convenience stores, I don't want them to be able to come in tomorrow and get this high content and start selling liquor tomorrow. Hard liquor. I don't want that to happen for sure. I mean, right the way this amendment is written, it's just for them to be able to sell beer, basically, isn't it? Or wine, low content, I mean.
If we can pass this one piece tonight, at our next workshop, we'll address these other issues. And if you'll look at it and highlight the area,
Workshop and the council meeting.
yes, exactly.
Because we need to fix more than that looks
Workshop
like.
and the council meeting. I'm just saying, because I know how this goes. It'll drag out forever.
Need to do it,
So the workshop and the council meeting.
yeah.
Okay,
We can do that. You got my word on that.
okay.
Okay. Can I have your vote?
Yeah. You gonna call for the vote again?
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, before I adjourn the meeting, I would like to tell you that the governor has put out another proclamation that all restaurants effective at midnight tonight, will be closed to sit-down patrons. They can have takeout, they can walk in the restaurant to get a takeout order. They can walk in, for example, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, they can get their order, but they cannot sit down and eat a meal there. He's also suggesting that we keep 10 feet away from each other. He's also suggesting that we not meet with 50 or more people, so, and that's effective to April the 13th. So what we're trying to do, is it 25 or less? Okay, it might be 25 or less. The rules have changed. We had a meeting today at 9 o'clock across the street, and before we got back over here, the rules had already changed again. But like I said earlier, try to stay in Webster Parish. Try not to go outside of the parish. If you're 60 years or older, try to stay in your home because it affects those of us that are 60 years and older, especially if you have a medical condition. So we want to keep our community safe and we want to keep our community healthy. So be sure, wash your hands regularly and don't touch your face. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
You're young, you're right, but
Look, I'm not taking any chances.
I'm 65.
Yeah, I'm not taking any chances.
you won't have any kids around you to worry about.